Lieutenant Jake Morrison floated through the narrow hallway of the research ship Aurora's Edge. His boots made soft clicking sounds on the metal floor. The ship had been his home for 6 months now, traveling between star systems looking for signs of lost human colonies. Most days were boring. Today felt different. Jake pushed open the door to the communications center. Dr. Lisa Warren sat hunched over her desk, wearing large headphones. Her fingers moved quickly across the computer screen. Strange waves of light danced on her monitor. She had not noticed Jake enter the room. "Lisa, what are you working on?" Jake asked. Lisa jumped in her chair. She pulled off her headphones and turned around. Her eyes were wide with excitement. "Jake, you need to hear this," she said. "I picked up something incredible about an hour ago." Lisa handed him the headphones. Jake put them on and listened. At first, he heard only static and crackling sounds. Then something beautiful came through the noise. It was music. A violin was playing a sad, haunting melody that made his chest feel tight. "Where is this coming from?" Jake asked. "That is the strange part," Lisa said. She pulled up a star map on her screen. "The signal is coming from Kepler 442b. You know, the planet where New Portland Colony was supposed to land 3 years ago." Jake knew about New Portland Colony. Everyone in the Earth Defense Force knew about it. The colony ship had launched with 5,000 people aboard. It was supposed to reach Kepler 442b and start a new settlement. But the ship never sent back any messages after landing. Command assumed the colony had failed. Maybe the planet was too dangerous. Maybe the ship had crashed. But Command declared that colony lost, Jake said. No one has heard from them in 3 years. "Listen to more of the recording," Lisa said. Jake put the headphones back on. The violin music continued, but now he could hear something else. It was very faint, but there was a voice singing along with the violin. The voice was young, maybe a child. The song sounded familiar, like something from old Earth music archives. "The voice," Jake said. "It sounds like a kid. A 12-year-old. Girl, I think," Lisa said. "I ran the vocal patterns through our database. The song she is playing is called Smells Like Teen Spirit. It is from the late 20th century. A rock band called Nirvana made it famous." Jake pulled off the headphones. Why would a kid on a lost colony be playing ancient rock music on a violin? "I do not know," Lisa said. "But there is more. The signal is not just random. It comes at the same time every day. Someone is broadcasting this on purpose." Jake stared at the star map. Kepler 442b was marked with a red dot. It was only 2 days away at their current speed. The planet was supposed to be perfect for humans. Not too hot, not too cold. It had water and breathable air. "We need to tell Captain Harrison about this," Jake said. "Already did," Lisa said. "He wants to see us both in his office in 10 minutes. Jake and Lisa walked through the ship to the captain's quarters. Captain Ben Harrison was a tough man with gray hair and serious eyes. He had fought in 3 different wars before taking command of the Aurora's Edge. Nothing usually surprised him. "Play the recording for me again," Captain Harrison said. Lisa connected her computer to the captain's speakers. The violin music filled the small room. The haunting melody seemed even more beautiful and sad through the better speakers. When the child's voice joined in, singing the old rock song, Captain Harrison's face changed. "My God," he whispered. "Someone is alive down there." "Sir, should we change course for Kepler 442b?" Jake asked. Captain Harrison was quiet for a long moment. He stared at the star charts on his wall. Finally, he nodded. "Yes, set course immediately. If there are survivors from New Portland Colony, we need to find them." "What if it is a trap?" Lisa asked. What if something happened to the colonists, and this is some kind of alien trick? Then we will deal with it, Captain Harrison said. But I cannot ignore the possibility that 5,000 humans need our help. Besides, no alien I know of plays 20th century rock music on a violin. Jake felt excitement building in his chest. After months of finding nothing but empty space and dead planets, they might finally have found something important. The violin music continued to play from the speakers, filling the room with its strange, beautiful sound. Get us there as fast as possible, Captain Harrison ordered, and keep monitoring that signal. If someone is trying to call for help, we are going to answer. The Aurora's Edge dropped out of hyperspace near Kepler 442b 2 days later. Jake Morrison stood on the bridge next to Captain Harrison and Dr. Warren. Through the main window, they could see the blue and green planet spinning slowly below them. Scanning. For the colony, reported Lieutenant Amy Foster from her station. I am picking up structures on the northern continent. It looks like New Portland Colony is still there. Any signs of life? Captain Harrison asked. Yes, sir. I am reading about 4,000 human life signs. They appear to be moving around the settlement. Jake felt relief wash over him. The colonists were alive, but something felt wrong. If they were alive, why had they not sent any messages for 3 years? Take us down, Captain Harrison ordered. Landing Bay 2 looks clear. The ship descended through the planet's atmosphere. Jake watched the colony grow larger through the window. New Portland looked exactly like the plans he had seen back on Earth. There were neat rows of houses, a central square, and farming areas around the edges. Everything seemed normal from above, but the Aurora's Edge landed with a soft thump. Captain Harrison, Jake, and Dr. Warren put on their gear and walked to the airlock. The planet's air was safe to breathe, but they carried weapons just in case. Stay alert, Captain Harrison said as they stepped outside. The first thing Jake noticed was how quiet everything was. No sounds of machinery. No voices calling out. No children playing. Just silence. The second thing he noticed was that people were walking around the colony, but they moved strangely. Their steps were slow and measured. They did not look at each other or speak. A man walked past them carrying a basket of vegetables. He did not acknowledge their presence. His eyes stared straight ahead, with no expression. Jake waved at him, but the man kept walking as if Jake was invisible. This is not normal, Dr. Warren whispered. They walked deeper into the colony. More people moved about their daily tasks. A woman hung laundry on a line. A group of men repaired a building wall. Children sat in a circle in the schoolyard. But none of them spoke. None of them smiled. They all had the same blank expression. It is like they are sleepwalking, Jake said. Then they heard it. The sound of a violin playing in the distance. The same haunting melody they had picked up on their ship. The music came from the central square. They followed the sound and found her. A young girl with dark hair sat on a bench in the middle of the square. She held a violin under her chin and played with incredible skill. Her eyes were closed, and she swayed slightly with the music. Unlike everyone else in the colony, she looked alive. The girl finished the song and opened her eyes. She saw the 3 visitors and smiled. It was the first smile they had seen since landing. You came, she said simply. I knew someone would hear my music eventually. What is your name? Captain Harrison asked gently. Maya Rodriguez, the girl said. I am 12 years old. I have been playing my violin every day for 6 months, hoping someone would find us. Maya, what happened here? Dr. Warren asked. Why is everyone acting so strange? Maya's face became serious. She looked around at the people walking past them. None of the colonists seemed to notice their conversation. The harmonizers came, Maya said. That is what they call themselves. They arrived about 6 months ago in ships that made no sound. They look almost human, but taller and thinner. Their skin is very pale. Where are they now? Jake asked, looking around nervously. They left after the first week, Maya said. But they did something to everyone before they went. They made everyone listen to this sound. It was not music. It was more like humming, but it got inside people's heads. Maya demonstrated by humming a low, monotonous tone. Even hearing it for a few seconds made Jake feel dizzy and confused. After they heard that sound, everyone became like this, Maya continued, pointing at the blank-faced colonists. They still do their jobs and take care of themselves, but they do not really think anymore. They do not feel anything. Why are you different? Dr. Warren asked. Maya held up her violin. I was practicing when the harmonizers came. I was playing a song with lots of feeling in it. When they tried to make me listen to their sound, my music was already in my head. It protected me somehow. What song were you playing? Jake asked. Maya smiled again. Smells like Teen Spirit. My grandmother taught it to me. She said it was a song about not giving up, about being yourself, even when the world tries to change. You. Captain Harrison knelt down, so he was at Maya's eye level. Can you help us understand what the harmonizers want? They collect people, Maya said. They travel from planet to planet and take away what makes people special. Their creativity, their feelings, their ability to choose. Then they use those people as workers. But they left you all here, Dr. Warren said. For now, Maya said. They said they would come back for us when they needed more workers. I think they use this planet like a storage place. Jake felt anger building inside him. These aliens had stolen the minds of 4,000 humans and planned to come back for them later. Maya, do you think your music could help the others? Captain, Harrison asked. The girl thought for a moment. Maybe. When I play certain songs, especially ones with strong feelings, some people seem to wake up a little bit. But it does not last long. Maya stood up and began playing her violin again. This time she played the rock song with more energy and emotion. As the music filled the square, Jake noticed some of the colonists slow down. A few turned their heads toward the sound. For just a moment, there was a flicker of awareness in their eyes. Then Maya stopped playing, and the colonists went back to their robotic behavior. We need to get you off this planet, Captain Harrison said. All of you. I cannot leave them. Maya said firmly. They are my friends and neighbors. There has to be a way to help them. Jake looked at the young girl with admiration. Despite being alone and afraid for 6 months, she had never stopped trying to save her people. She had turned her music into a beacon of hope. Then we will help you find a way, Jake promised. Captain Harrison decided they would stay at New Portland Colony for several days to study the situation. The Aurora's Edge crew set up a temporary base in the colony's community center. Dr. Warren began running tests on the affected colonists, while Jake helped Maya experiment with her music. Play that song again, Dr. Warren said to Maya. The one that seems to wake people up the most. Maya nodded and lifted her violin. She began playing a fast, energetic piece that made Jake's heart beat faster. As the music filled the room, something amazing happened. 3 colonists who had been sitting quietly suddenly looked up. Their eyes became brighter and more focused. Mom, one of them said. It was a teenage boy who had not spoken in months. Mom, where are you? But as soon as Maya stopped playing, the boy's eyes went blank again. He returned to staring at nothing. Fascinating, Dr. Warren said, making notes on her computer. The music temporarily breaks whatever control the harmonizers have over them. Why does it work? Jake asked. I think the harmonizers use specific sound frequencies to control brain activity, Dr. Warren explained. Maya's music creates different frequencies that interfere with their control system. Maya lowered her violin. I have been trying different songs for months. Some work better than others. The songs that work best are the ones that make me feel strong emotions. What kind of emotions? Dr. Warren asked. Anger, defiance, sadness, joy. The bigger the feeling, the better it works. That old rock song works really well because it makes me feel rebellious. Jake had an idea. What if we got more people to make music? Not just Maya, but everyone who wakes up? That might work, Dr. Warren said. If we can wake up enough people at once, maybe the effect will be stronger. They spent the next few hours working with Maya. When she played her violin, they encouraged the temporarily awakened colonists to sing along or clap their hands. At first, only a few people responded. But as Maya played louder and with more feeling, more colonists began to stir. This is working, Jake said excitedly. Look, there are at least 20 people awake now. An older woman named Ruth Palmer was among those who had awakened. She was a teacher who remembered Maya from before the harmonizers came. Maya, sweet child, Ruth said with tears in her eyes. You have been fighting for us all this time? I had to, Maya said. I could not let them win. Ruth looked around at the other awakened colonists. What can we do to help? We need to make music, Maya said. All of us together. The more noise we make, the more people wake up. They gathered every instrument they could find in the colony. Guitars, drums, keyboards, even simple things like pots and pans. Ruth remembered that she used to lead the colony choir before the harmonizers came. I know songs that everyone in the colony learned, Ruth said. Old Earth songs that were part of our cultural education program. Maya's eyes lit up. Teach them to me. I can play them on my violin while you sing. As the sun began to set, they held their first resistance concert in the central square. Maya played her violin while Ruth led a growing group of colonists in singing. The songs were simple but powerful. Folk songs about freedom, rock songs about rebellion, and classical pieces that stirred deep emotions. The effect was remarkable. With each song, more colonists stopped their robotic activities and joined in. Some began to remember who they were. Others started crying as their emotions returned. Children ran to find their parents. But not everyone could be awakened. About half the colonists remained under the harmonizer's control, despite the music. The ones who cannot wake up were exposed to the control frequency longer, Dr. Warren explained. The harmonizer's influence is stronger in them. Jake noticed something else troubling. The colonists who did wake up would slowly return to their controlled state if the music stopped for too long. We need to keep making music constantly, Maya realized. If we stop, they go back to sleep. This created a new problem. The few awakened colonists were getting tired from constant singing and playing. Maya's fingers were sore from hours of violin playing. We need a better plan, Captain, Harrison said. Something that can reach everyone at once and break the control permanently. Dr. Warren had been studying the brain scans of the affected colonists. I think I understand how the harmonizer control works now. They use a specific frequency that puts the brain into a passive state. But certain combinations of sounds can override it. What kind of combinations? Maya asked. Complex musical patterns. Multiple instruments playing different parts, but working together. Like a symphony, but designed specifically to counteract alien mind control. Jake felt excitement building. So we need to create the right kind of music to free everyone at once? Exactly. But it has to be more than just random noise. It needs to be carefully constructed to match the harmonizer's frequency and cancel it out. Maya was already thinking about the possibilities. I know lots of different musical styles. Rock, classical, jazz, folk. What if we combine them all? That might work, Dr. Warren said. But we would need more musicians. And we would need to broadcast the music loud enough to reach everyone in the colony at the same time. Ruth spoke up. Before they were controlled, many colonists played instruments. If we can wake them up long enough to remember their musical skills, they could help. It is risky, Captain Harrison warned. If we fail, the harmonizers might detect what we are doing and come back early. Maya gripped her violin tighter. We have to try. These people trusted me to keep fighting for them. I will not give up now. As night fell over New Portland Colony, the small group of free humans began planning their musical revolution. They had discovered that human creativity and emotion could fight back against alien control. Now they needed to find a way to amplify that power and free everyone in the distance. The controlled colonists continued their empty routines under the stars. But in the community center, the sound of hope was growing stronger. Maya tuned her violin and prepared to teach her fellow humans the most important songs they would ever learn. The frequency war was about to begin. Captain Harrison sent an urgent message to Earth Command that night. He explained everything they had discovered about the harmonizers and Maya's musical resistance. The response came back faster than anyone expected. Captain Harrison came. The voice of Admiral Kate Sullivan through the communication system. Your report is almost impossible to believe. Aliens that control minds through sound? A 12-year-old girl fighting them with violin music? Admiral, I know it sounds crazy, Captain Harrison replied, but I am sending you recordings of everything we have witnessed. The evidence is clear. Dr. Warren had prepared detailed scientific data about the frequency patterns. Jake had recorded hours of Maya's performances and their effects on the colonists. The proof was undeniable. 2 days later, Admiral Sullivan contacted them again. This time her voice was different, more urgent and worried. Captain, we have a problem. 3 more human colonies have gone silent in the past week. The last messages we received from them mentioned strange ships in their skies. Ships that made no sound. Jake felt his stomach drop. The harmonizers were not just taking one colony. They were collecting humans across space. What are your orders, Admiral? Captain Harrison asked. We are mobilizing every available ship. But Harrison, if this girl's music really works against these aliens, we need to know everything about it. How does it work? Can we teach it to others? Can we use it as a weapon? Maya had been listening to the conversation. She stepped forward to speak into the communication device. Admiral Sullivan, this is Maya Rodriguez. I think I can help. Hello, Maya. You are very brave for what you have done. Can you explain how your music affects these harmonizers? Maya took a deep breath. It is not just any music, Admiral. It has to have strong feelings in it. Songs about fighting back, about not giving up, about being yourself. The aliens try to make everyone the same, but music that celebrates being different hurts them somehow. Can you teach others to play this kind of music? Yes, but they have to really feel it. They cannot just play the notes. They have to understand why the music matters. Admiral Sullivan was quiet for a moment. Then she said something that surprised everyone. Maya, how would you feel about helping us teach the entire Earth Defense Force to fight with music? Within a week, something unprecedented happened across human space. Every military base, every ship, every colony began recruiting musicians. Not just trained professionals, but anyone who could play an instrument, sing, or even just make rhythmic noise with passion and feeling. Jake watched in amazement as the Aurora's Edge received new crew members. A former rock guitarist named Pete Collins joined as a communications specialist. A classical pianist named Nancy Price became their new navigation officer. A drummer named Chris Martinez was assigned to weapon systems. This is the strangest. military operation I have ever seen," Captain Harrison said as he watched Pete Collins tune his electric guitar in the ship's armory. Maya had become the most important person in the human military almost overnight. She spent hours each day on video calls with bases across the galaxy, teaching soldiers how to play resistance music. She showed them how to put feeling into their performances, how to channel anger and defiance into sound. "Remember," Maya told a group of Marines on Europa base, "the song has to make you feel something strong. If you are just going through the motions, it will not work against the harmonizers." The Marines, tough soldiers who had fought in many battles, listened carefully as a 12-year-old girl taught them to play her violin arrangement of "Smells Like Teen Spirit" on whatever instruments they could find. But the most important development came from Dr. Warren's research. She had been working with Earth's top scientists to understand exactly how Maya's music worked. "I think I have figured it out," Dr. Warren announced to the crew. "The harmonizers use a specific brain frequency to suppress creativity and individual thought. But when humans make music with strong emotions, especially emotions related to rebellion and self-expression, we generate counter-frequencies that overpower their control." "So it is not just the music itself?" Jake asked. "No, it is the combination of the sound waves and the brain activity of the person making the music. When someone plays or sings with genuine feeling, their brain produces patterns that the harmonizers cannot control." This discovery led to an important realization. Human music was not just effective against harmonizer technology by accident. Humans had evolved to express themselves creatively as a survival mechanism. Their emotions, their need for individual expression, their tendency to rebel against control, these traits made them naturally resistant to the harmonizer's methods. Maya understood this better than anyone. "That is why they have to keep the control signal playing constantly," she told the scientists. "If they stop, people start thinking for themselves again. And when people think for themselves, they want to create things. They want to make music." Reports began coming in from across human space. Colonies that had seemed lost were fighting back using Maya's techniques. A mining station near Alpha Centauri had broken free from harmonizer control when their work crew started singing old Earthsea shanties. A research outpost had driven off a harmonizer ship by broadcasting punk rock at maximum volume. But the aliens were adapting too. New reports described harmonizer ships with better shielding against human music. Some colonies reported that the aliens were trying to destroy all musical instruments before taking control of populations. "They are learning," Admiral Sullivan said during one of their regular communications. "We need to be ready for a full-scale war." Maya had been thinking about this problem. She had an idea that excited and scared her at the same time. "What if we do not wait for them to come to us?" she suggested. "What if we take the fight to them?" "What do you mean?" Captain Harrison asked. "The harmonizers have probably taken millions of people from other planets. If we could broadcast the right kind of music to their home worlds, maybe we could free everyone at once." Dr. Warren looked up from her computer. "That would require an enormous amount of power, and we would need to know exactly where their main bases are." Jake had been studying the star charts. "We have been tracking their ship movements. I know why they are taking all the people they collect." Maya picked up her violin and played a few notes of her favorite rebellious song. "Then that is where we need to go. It is time to teach the whole galaxy what human music can do." The war was about to expand beyond anything anyone had imagined. But this time, humanity would not be fighting with traditional weapons. They would be fighting with the one thing that made them uniquely human: their refusal to let anyone else control their hearts and minds. The harmonizers struck first. Their massive fleet appeared without warning in the Sol system, humanity's home. Admiral Sullivan's voice crackled through the Aurora's Edge communication system with barely controlled panic. All ships, this is Earth. Command. We have over 200 harmonizer vessels approaching Earth. They are broadcasting their control frequency at maximum power. Civilian populations in the outer colonies are already affected. Jake watched the tactical display in horror. The alien ships formed a perfect sphere around Earth, each one broadcasting the mind-numbing frequency that had enslaved New Portland Colony. But this time, the signal was much stronger. "Maya," Captain Harrison called. "We need you now." Maya ran to the bridge carrying her violin. She had been practicing with the ship's new musical crew for weeks, preparing for this moment. Pete Collins plugged in his electric guitar, while Nancy Price sat down at a portable keyboard they had installed next to the navigation controls. "Is the plan?" Maya asked. Dr. Warren pulled up her readings on the main screen. "The harmonizers are using a coordinated frequency attack. All their ships are broadcasting the same signal to create a planet-wide control field. We need to disrupt that coordination." "How?" Jake asked. "By creating chaos," Maya said with a fierce smile. "The one thing the harmonizers cannot handle is unpredictable human creativity." She raised her violin and began to play. But this time, she did not play alone. Pete's electric guitar joined in with a thunderous rock rhythm. Nancy added classical piano melodies that somehow fit perfectly with the rebellious music. Chris Martinez beat out complex rhythms on drums he had constructed from spare ship parts. The Aurora's Edge broadcast their music toward the harmonizer fleet. Almost immediately, something unexpected happened. The perfect formation of alien ships began to waver. Some ships drifted slightly out of position as their navigation systems were affected by the chaotic human music. "It is working," Captain Harrison shouted over the music. "Keep playing." Across human space, every ship and station joined the musical assault. The asteroid mining platforms broadcast heavy metal music. The research stations played jazz and blues. The military bases sent out marching songs and battle hymns. But Maya realized they needed something more. The harmonizers were adapting, trying to boost their signal strength to overcome the human music. "We need to coordinate," Maya shouted to her crew over the sound of their own music. "Everyone playing different songs is good, but we need one big moment where everyone plays the same thing." She opened a communication channel to every human ship in the battle. "This is Maya Rodriguez. In 60 seconds, I want everyone to play Smells Like Teen Spirit at exactly the same time. Put everything you have into it. Every feeling, every emotion, every bit of defiance you can manage." The countdown began. Maya could hear her heartbeat over the noise of the battle. Harmonizer ships were firing energy weapons at human vessels. But their aim was poor because the music was disrupting their coordination systems. 10 seconds, Maya announced. "Remember, this song is about refusing to give up. It is about being yourself no matter what anyone else wants. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now." Across the solar system, thousands of human voices joined together in the most powerful musical performance in history. Maya's violin led the melody while millions of humans sang, played instruments, banged on metal, or simply shouted the defiant lyrics of the ancient rock song. The effect was immediate and devastating. The harmonizer control frequency shattered. Like glass, their perfect formation collapsed as ship after ship lost coordination. But something even more amazing happened on the planets below Dot on Earth. People who had been falling under harmonizer control suddenly woke up. They heard the music coming from space and began singing along. On Mars, the entire population joined in the song. The mining colonies, the research stations, even the small outposts at the edge of the system added their voices to the growing chorus of human defiance. The harmonizers had never encountered anything like this. Their species had conquered dozens of worlds by suppressing individual thought and creativity. But humans refused to be suppressed. The more pressure the aliens applied, the more rebellious the humans became. Several harmonizer ships began retreating, but their fleet commander sent out a new signal. This one was different from their usual control frequency. It was a message that Dr. Warren managed to translate. "They are calling for reinforcements," she announced. "And they are sending out a priority alert about humans to their entire empire." Maya kept playing, but she felt a chill of fear. "What does that mean?" "It means they now consider humanity a major threat," Captain Harrison said. "This is not just about collecting slaves anymore. They want to eliminate us completely." The battle continued for 6 more hours. Human music filled space as the two species fought with the strangest weapons ever used in warfare. The harmonizers tried frequency attacks, sonic weapons, and even attempted to broadcast recordings of their own music to counter human creativity. Nothing worked. Every time the aliens tried a new approach, humans responded with a different musical style. When the harmonizers used low-frequency attacks, humans responded with bass-heavy electronic music. When they tried high-pitched sonic weapons, human opera singers hit notes that disrupted their equipment. Maya watched as the last harmonizer ships retreated from the Sol system. The immediate battle was won, but she knew this was just the beginning. "They will be back," she told Captain Harrison. "And next time they will bring more ships. Then we need to be ready," he replied. "But Maya, what you did today, what all of humanity did, it changed everything. We proved that our creativity is stronger than their control." Dr. Warren was analyzing the battle data. "The retreating ships are heading toward the Vega system. If Jake's calculations are correct, that is where their main base is located." Jake nodded. "It is a heavily fortified system with at least a dozen planets. If they are holding captured populations from other worlds there could be millions of enslaved beings." Maya cleaned her violin and placed it carefully in its case. Her fingers were sore, and her throat was raw from 6 hours of intense playing and singing, but her eyes were bright with determination. "Then that is where we go next," she said. "If the harmonizers want a war, we will give them one. But it will be unlike any war they have ever seen." The Aurora's Edge and hundreds of other human ships began preparing for the journey to Vega. They were no longer just trying to rescue one colony. They were about to attempt the liberation of an entire galaxy, one song at a time. The human fleet arrived at the edge of the Vega system 3 weeks later. What they found there took their breath away. 12 planets orbited the bright star, and every single one showed signs of massive construction. Giant towers reached up from the surfaces, connected by bridges that sparkled in the starlight. "My God," whispered Captain Harrison as he stared at the main display. "How many beings do they have down there?" Dr. Warren was scanning the planets with every sensor this Aurora's Edge possessed. "I am reading life signs from at least 50 different species. Millions of individuals on each world, maybe billions total." Jake felt sick to his stomach. The harmonizers had been collecting intelligent beings from across the galaxy for who knew how long. All of those people, all of those different alien species were trapped under mind control. "Look at Planet 7, Maya said, pointing at the tactical display. "Those structures look different." She was right. While the other planets showed the same uniform tower construction, the 7th planet had buildings that looked chaotic and broken. Some towers were half destroyed. Others had been rebuilt in strange, asymmetrical patterns. "I think that is where they keep the ones who resist," Dr. Warren said, after studying the scans more carefully. "The life signs there are more erratic, less organized." Maya gripped her violin case tighter. "Those are the fighters, the ones who would not give up their creativity." The human fleet had grown during their journey to Vega. Ships from every corner of human space had joined them. Military vessels, cargo haulers, passenger liners, even small personal craft. All of them carried musicians and instruments. The largest ship in the fleet was the Defiant Counter, a massive battleship that had been converted into a mobile concert hall. Captain Steve Collins commanded the Defiant Counter. He was a former rock musician who had joined the military after his home colony was attacked. His ship carried Maya's most important discovery from their weeks of preparation. "Maya, are you ready to test the symphony?" Captain Collins asked over the communication system. Maya had spent those weeks working with composers and musicians from across human space to create something unprecedented. They called it the Liberation Symphony. It combined musical elements from every human culture, every style of music that had ever made people feel free and defiant. "Broadcasting now," Maya said. She began to play on her violin, but this time she was not alone. Thousands of musicians across hundreds of ships joined in. The symphony started with a single violin melody, Maya's arrangement of "Smells Like Teen Spirit." Then other instruments joined one by one. Rock guitars added power and rebellion. Classical orchestras brought emotional depth. Jazz musicians contributed improvisation and freedom. Folk singers added the voices of common people standing up to oppression. Electronic music provided modern energy and innovation. The effect on the harmonizer planets was immediate and visible. On Planet 7, a chaotic world where the resistors were kept, lights began flickering in the broken towers. Then something amazing happened. The lights began to pulse in rhythm with the human music. "They are responding," Dr. Warren said excitedly. "The beings on Planet 7 are somehow joining in with our symphony." Maya could feel it too. Through her violin, she sensed other minds connecting with the music. Alien thoughts and feelings that had been suppressed for years were suddenly awakening. The symphony was not just human anymore. It was becoming something bigger. On the other planets, the uniform tower lights began to flicker as well. The harmonizer. Control systems were being overwhelmed by the growing musical resistance. But the harmonizers were not giving up without a fight. A massive fleet of their ships emerged from the inner planets. These were not the sleek vessels they had seen before. These ships were enormous, covered with speakers and transmission arrays designed to broadcast their control frequencies. "Incoming transmission," reported the Aurora's Edge communication officer. "It is from the harmonizer fleet." The message appeared on the main screen. The alien speaking looked similar to a human, but was much taller and thinner. Its skin was pale. Gray, and its eyes showed no emotion. "Humans," the harmonizer said in perfect English, "you do not understand what you are doing. We bring order to chaos. We bring peace to conflict. Your noise disrupts the harmony we have created." Maya stepped forward to respond. "Your harmony is fake. You steal people's minds and make them into robots. That is not peace. That is slavery. Individual thought leads to suffering," the harmonizer replied. "We have eliminated war, crime, and unhappiness from dozens of worlds. We offer you the same gift." "We do not want your gift," Maya said firmly. "We choose our own suffering and our own happiness. That is what makes us alive." The harmonizer's face showed the first emotion Maya had ever seen from their species. It looked confused, almost afraid. "Your chaotic noise has already corrupted 17% of our collected populations. If we allow this to continue, it will spread to our homeworld." Maya realized something important. The harmonizers were not just trying to control other species. They had also suppressed their own creativity and emotions long ago. They were terrified of what they might become if they remembered how to feel. "It does not have to be this way," Maya said. "You could learn to make music too. You could remember what it feels like to choose for yourself." "Impossible," the harmonizer said, but its voice was less certain now. "We have evolved beyond such primitive impulses. The conversation was interrupted by alerts from across the fleet. The harmonizers were beginning their attack, but it was unlike anything the humans had prepared for. Instead of sonic weapons, they were broadcasting pure silence. An absence of sound so complete that it seemed to suck the music out of space itself. They are trying to create a null sound field, Dr. Warren reported. If they succeed, we will not be able to make any music at all. Maya felt the silence pressing against her mind like a physical weight. Around her, the other musicians were struggling to keep playing as the harmonizer silence tried to steal their voices. Everyone, Maya shouted into her communicator, do not let them take our music. Play louder. Play with more feeling. Remember why we are here. The battle that followed was the strangest in galactic history. On one side, an alien empire that had perfected the art of creating silence and uniformity. On the other, a young human species that had never learned to stop making noise. Maya played her violin with tears streaming down her face. Not tears of sadness, but tears of pure emotion as she poured everything she felt into her music. Around her, thousands of other humans did the same. They played through the pain of the harmonizer silence. They sang until their voices were raw. They beat drums until their hands bled, and slowly, impossibly, their music began to win. The silence field cracked like ice breaking in spring. On the planets below, the lights were not just flickering anymore. They were dancing. Millions of enslaved beings were remembering what it felt like to think their own thoughts. Maya heard new voices joining the symphony. Alien voices singing in languages she had never heard. Music from cultures that had been silent for centuries. The Liberation Symphony was becoming exactly what its name promised, a song of freedom that could reach any mind, anywhere. The final phase of the war was about to begin. The Liberation Symphony reached its crescendo as Maya played the final movement. Her violin sang out across space, while millions of voices from dozens of different species joined in harmony. The sound was unlike anything the galaxy had ever heard before. On the planets below, something miraculous was happening. The uniform towers that had housed enslaved populations for centuries were changing. Lights flickered in new patterns as beings remembered how to think for themselves. Some towers were being rebuilt in creative, chaotic designs. Others were being torn down completely as freed populations chose to live differently. But the most amazing change was happening on the harmonizer ships themselves. Captain Harrison watched in disbelief as several alien vessels broke formation and began moving in unpredictable patterns. "Captain," Dr. Warren called out, "I am detecting individual life signs on those ships. The harmonizers are waking up too." Maya could feel it through her music. The rigid control that had held the harmonizer species together for thousands of years was breaking apart. Some of them were remembering what it felt like to make their own choices. A new transmission came from the harmonizer fleet. This time, the alien speaker looked different. Its gray skin had more color, and its eyes showed confusion and wonder. "What is happening to us?" the harmonizer asked. "I feel something I have not felt for so long. I think it is called curiosity." Maya lowered her violin, but kept the communication channel open. "You are remembering who you used to be before you decided that silence was better than music. But the chaos," the harmonizer said. "Without our harmony, there will be conflict. Different opinions, disagreement." "Yes," Maya said with a smile. "And that is scary, but it is also beautiful. Disagreement leads to new ideas. Conflict leads to growth. You have been so afraid of chaos that you forgot why chaos can be good." Across the harmonizer fleet, more ships were breaking formation. Some were landing on the planets below. Others were simply drifting as their crews experienced emotions for the first time in millennia. Not all the harmonizers were awakening. About half their fleet remained in formation, still broadcasting there. Silence Field. Their commander sent one final message. This corruption will not be allowed to spread further. We will destroy these worlds before we let chaos take them. The remaining harmonizer ships began charging weapons that Maya had never seen before. Dr. Warren's ratings showed energy levels that could crack planets in half. They are going to destroy everything rather than let it be free, Jake said in horror. Maya looked at her violin, then at the faces of her human friends on the bridge. She thought about all the beings they had helped awaken, all the voices that had joined their symphony. She could not let it end this way. Captain Collins, Maya said into her communicator, I need every musician in the fleet to do something that has never been tried before. What do you need, Maya? I need everyone to stop playing their assigned parts. I need them to improvise, to create something completely new, right now. But Maya, Dr. Warren protested, if we lose coordination, the symphony will fall apart. Exactly, Maya said. The harmonizers expect us to be organized. They are prepared for our symphony, but they cannot prepare for pure human creativity. Maya raised her violin and began to play something entirely new. Not Smells Like Teen Spirit, or any other song she had practiced. She played what she felt in that moment. Hope, fear, love, defiance, and joy all mixed together across the human fleet. Thousands of musicians understood what she was asking. They abandoned their sheet music and their careful arrangements. Rock guitarists started playing classical melodies. Opera singers began improvising rap lyrics. Drummers created rhythms that had never existed before. The result was chaos. Beautiful, creative, unpredictable chaos. The effect on the awakened aliens was immediate. Instead of being confused by the chaotic music, they began to join in with their own improvised sounds. Species that had been silent for centuries started, making noise just for the joy of it. The rigid harmonizer fleet could not cope with this level of unpredictability. Their weapon systems designed to target coordinated threats could not lock onto the chaotic human music. Their silence field generators overloaded, trying to counter sounds that had never been heard before. One by one, the remaining harmonizer ships powered down their weapons. Their crews were awakening too, overwhelmed by the infectious creativity of the humans and their freed allies. The war ended not with explosions or destruction, but with the most beautiful sound Maya had ever heard, the voice of an entire galaxy. Learning to sing together in the months that followed, the transformation was remarkable. The Vega system became the center of a new kind of civilization. Freed beings from dozens of species worked together to build something unprecedented, a society based on creative cooperation rather than control. Maya found herself at the center of it all, but not as a leader. She was a teacher, showing others how to find their own musical voices. The former harmonizer worlds became schools, where beings learned to express themselves in ways their species had forgotten. The most surprising students were the harmonizers themselves. Once they remembered how to feel emotions, they discovered that their species had an incredible gift for complex harmonies. They began creating music that combined their natural mathematical precision with the chaotic creativity they had learned from humans. 3 years after the end of the war, Maya stood on a concert stage built from the ruins of the Harmonizer Command Center. The audience was unlike anything that had ever existed. Thousands of beings from across the galaxy, all gathered to hear music made together. Maya raised her violin and began to play. But this time, she was not playing an old Earth song, or even her Liberation Symphony. She was playing something entirely new, a composition she had written with help from a young harmonizer, musician and a poet from the crystal caves of Epsilon E-R-I-D Ain I Doc. As the music filled the air, Maya smiled. The galaxy had learned something important from humanity, that the most beautiful harmony comes not from everyone playing the same note, but from everyone playing their own note in a way that supports the whole. The resonance war was over. The age of creative cooperation had begun. Maya closed her eyes and let her violin sing out across the stars, adding her voice to the eternal symphony of free minds, making beautiful noise together.